Hello?
Hi.
Oh, is that Dad's number? 460-6475?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, 6475. 225-6475. Nice, Dad. Very nice.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know it was you, so I guess I got a couple things to talk about. Sure.
Yeah, sure. You had a friend reach me yesterday.
Sorry, what? Oh, yeah, that was you, yeah.
So, go ahead, tell me.
Okay, so I was actually just going to call you in a little bit at a restaurant. I'm in downtown area, and my hunger is creeping up on me faster than usual. So I mean that's a really good thing. I had a huge breakfast, and I'm like basically stuck to the routine of 2 or 3 meals a day again, which I mean can't be a bad thing, right? I just don't know what to eat. So I was gonna pick a restaurant and see if you might float me there.
Might want to do what?
I was gonna just pick a cheap restaurant and see if you might be able to pay for it, like a credit card over the phone or something.
Yeah, if they'll let me.
Yeah, I would confirm ahead of time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Not that big, but
Just a couple bucks, only because I didn't really think of plan this out. I wasn't supposed to be down here for so long, but I got a couple things I'm doing now. So,
okay.
but yeah, so I went to the courthouse. I picked up some audio of some of the previous stuff, and I'm heading over to the library to go do some scans of my last paperwork, and so I'm getting caught up on just a lot of old crap. It's really nice just to be able to kind of put it aside. Like basically, my mind is how would I say this? It gets pretty mushy because I don't forget things, and so it's like pressure in the brain that's releasing now once I put all these things on in some place else, like on a to-do list or a playlist online. And so just to be able to make a report out there to the world about some of the fraud that's going on and stuff like that. So but yeah, I'm scheduling a couple of visits one last time with like the mayor and the DA. I'm going to sit down and talk to them over some things. And so I happened to run into Tom Martin. Decided to go visit him real quick. He was the attorney that was force appointed to my case. And he had a couple good pointers. And so, first and foremost, just so you know, I've never really not wanted attorneys. I just wanted to be respected for representing myself. And so ultimately, once I started seeing that the courts don't honor and don't listen to pro sayers, I felt like it was like a kind of a moral obligation to just put that piece of the puzzle back in check, that people need to be listening to people, period. And so some of my older cases, like unlawful conduct, even though I got wrongfully convicted, I did exactly what a lawyer would do. I said things like hearsay, and they just didn't respect it because it didn't come out of the mouth of an attorney. And so that's a big piece of fraud out there. That's a type of fraud that is like very systematic and stuff like that. And so now that I've kind of proven that, I'm not really interested in going pro se for everything. Like I can go right up and appeal, but I don't have the time anymore, and I'm really sick and stuff. And so I started talking to Tom Martin, and turns out a couple things. One, I can go down to the public defender's office right now and file for assistance of counsel for sentencing. And so I can get that back and going again, which they might have to delay it now because they didn't have time to look at it and stuff like that, so forth and so on. So that might help me out with my health and whatnot. And even better is, I'm okay with you liking to hear this, Dad, if you like hearing this. But he's also said that if I apply for the public defender for my appeal rights, which I have a right to still, which I didn't know. I thought once I go pro se, I have to keep going pro se. But he said that I would be able to get a appeals public defender, which only deals with appeals, and it would be out of Denver. And they're really, really good, and they're not overstaffed or understaffed because all they do with is just appeals. And so I'm going to file for that, and the whole point being, behind the scenes is that I never want to ever have representation know more than me, and because that way, how am I supposed to know if they're not doing their jobs and things like that? And so I know exactly what needs to go down in this appeal. I literally, if I had enough time, I could do it myself. I've read so many case laws on appeals, and it's very black and white. However, it's a delegation game, and I just don't have the time or the health, like I said. And, I'll admit there's probably some tricks to the trade that, after years that they've had to put up with, that they're good at what they do. But I'm going to reserve the trust and the judgment because of that relationship that, all attorneys have with the courthouses is they're always going to be like 10 to 25% schmucks because, truthfully speaking, real attorneys would have seen a lot of the fraud that I have, and then they would have probably become bigger human rights advocates. They probably would have figured out how to sting and how to take out sectors and stuff like that. They would have dressed up like homeless people and got a bunch of lawsuits to help remove a whole bunch of cops. And so, unfortunately, most lawyers, they think that the best way to fight the fraud in the world is through the courtrooms. And I think the best way to fight the fraud is just straight up on the streets. And because I've caught way more fraud than attorneys have of cops lying on police reports and things like that. Because the whole point is the main source of fraud is defamation, discrimination, and cops basically treating people like second-class citizens and denying their exculpatory evidence. And so when somebody on the streets, especially a homeless person, cries innocence and they provide exculpatory-based evidence and they point at maps and or signs and things like that, and they get ignored and treated like second-class citizens, that's really bad. That still needs to be exposed and so forth. But I'll tell you this, my fight is over. Dave and I caught all the fraud we ever needed, and then some. We never really intended to in the first place, but once we collected it all, there's nothing new to collect, and so our complaint is just kind of done. And so we're just trying to clean up the messes and delegate back out again. So ultimately our complaint is when we send it out to the world is we need a bunch of help to file all these 42 USCs, even though we can do it ourselves. And so throwing that into the mix, an appeals lawyer like this, I don't mind. I've thought it through, and it couldn't hurt at this point. And since I know what I'm doing, it's a heck of a lot different than just handing my life over to an attorney like what had happened in Blair. When I probably could have said a couple of things myself. And truthfully told, I did say a bunch of things like to Blair and the DA and to my public defender. And so I kind of was a sort of a pro sayer back in the day. And I said that these three people were involved and nobody respected that anyways and stuff. And so ultimately there's still a bunch of fraud out there, people just not respecting, other people. But whatever, yada, yada, yada. The fact that I can get a special type of appeals lawyer that is appointed for free, that is from a specific department down in Denver, makes me pretty happy. So that's what I'm going to do, Dad. And so I'm not sure if we need to go pay for an actual attorney and whatnot. Even though private attorneys are sometimes better than public defenders. But when it comes to appeals, Tom Martin was saying that it's just an entirely different beast. In the office down there, they have that's all they do is appeals all day long. And so I asked Tom if he could help me with sentencing, and he says he's more just a criminal defense attorney, and he doesn't do appeals either and stuff. And so, I think since I'm indigent, there's no reason why I shouldn't try out the system one more time. And for all I know, maybe I could help sting a failed appeals lawyer system out there if he doesn't do it right and stuff like that. So
Yeah, for your sentencing, why don't you do both? Why don't we go talk to a lawyer and you go talk to the public defender, and you can see which you'd want to go to.
Well, I can't talk to one without getting appointed first. I tried to do that before. You can't just chat with a public defender. You pretty much have to get appointed. And so I don't have too much time left before sentencing in the sense of being appointed one. Tom said you better go in there like right now to do it. And so, yeah, sentencing is, I don't know, maybe I'll wait a day. Yeah, Dad, I'll wait a day. Let's go talk to an actual lawyer. See what they have to say for sentencing.
Yeah.
I don't want to be hasty or anything, but I got a couple of days here. They might even say something like, don't do that because it's, we can do it much better or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, let me set something up. If you want to look through your, I don't know how you'd find out, but I think we can start with Mike Levitt, but if you have two others that you may want to hear from, we could do that as well. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. I don't even know where to start, but phone book, I guess. But yeah, let's see if I can set something up in the next day or two with a couple of people, and you set up with Levitt.
Okay.
So that works though.
Did I lose you?
No, I'm still here. Yep.
Are you still there?
Yep, still here. Can you hear me? Dad? Where'd you go? Dad? Hello? Anybody there? I'll call you back.